You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Alright, my name's Raul, by the way. What's yours?
Emily.
Emily, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So Emily, my interviews are about a topic known as epistemology, which is a philosophical field of knowledge that deals with what people believe in and then like how they know that thing is true.
Sure.
So the way I like to construct the interviews or format them is to have you, if you're comfortable with identifying just some belief you hold to.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be anything in particular, just some belief that you're certain of and that is kind of foundational for your understanding of the world.
Yeah. Oh my. It's quite a lot actually. Well, I was raised in a Christian home, so that's something that I've kind of had ups and downs with, but ultimately that has stuck with me. I believe that there is one God, and that it's our duty to spread love throughout the world, and not the kind of love I think that's common today. You know, more of that eternal, infinite love that is God. So, yeah, that's our role as human beings. There's a heaven and a hell, unfortunately, and we need to share this with other people. That's also our role, is to and not to condemn others. And if people are outside of the faith, we should not judge them.
Mm-hmm.
We should merely love them.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah, no, that gives me a lot to work with. Maybe we can focus on one of those things.
Okay. What would you like to focus on?
I would prefer for you to pick it. I don't
Okay.
mind just picking one randomly,
Okay.
but is there any one of those beliefs that for you is especially you're especially convinced of?
Probably the whole love thing, for sure. I feel that I feel like in my soul that there's always going to be a longing, and I think that comes with every human being, is this innate desire for something more than this material world, and that is a sort of love that can't be generated from just us. It's an infinite, meaningful thing. It's not vain or material, and that is something that comes from God. And so it's this big love thing that kind of runs my whole life. And there's so many different aspects of love. There's so many different things that come with this love. You know, like being humble and being patient and being kind and sacrificing. It's just such a broad subject.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, I think you said some wonderful things there. Values are harder to work with in these kind of interviews.
Yes.
Because it's less objective, it's more
Yes.
subjective. It's harder to ask questions concerning whether or not it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Can we focus on something maybe a little bit more objective, like maybe your belief in heaven and hell?
Okay. Yeah. It's tough to talk about, you know, because it is an eternal thing. It's something that goes on forever. Our souls are eternal. So after life, you know, instantaneously our souls leave our bodies, and you know, because our bodies are just material things.
Mm-hmm.
So our souls leave our bodies. Wow, what a day! Can't
Yeah.
believe I ended up talking about. No, it's good. it's kind of crazy to hear myself talk about it out loud. But anyways, our souls leave our bodies, and we face a sort of a judgment. And this is it's a very controversial thing. Hello. It's a very tough thing because they say that to be saved, you need to believe in Jesus Christ as your Savior and welcome Him into your heart. And yeah, Jesus is God, essentially. So that's what you need to have, and that's what you need to believe in and have faith in order to dwell with God forever, in a place that is perfect and whole and beautiful and without sin, without pain and all the torment that comes with being a human being. That goes away because you sought out something more, and you got rewarded for it, I suppose. And then hell, it's for those who reject what they reject God who sought them out. I wish there wasn't a hell. But I think the universe has a lot to do with balance, and I mean, hell is an awful place, but a lot of people go there. A lot of people go there, and it's our job to save souls, essentially. Save souls, make lives meaningful, and that's our mission statement as Christians, is to save souls, I suppose. Hell is, I mean, it's where Satan dwells. It's where Lucifer dwells, and it's like these two powers against each other. Of course, God prevails, but what Satan desires is for us to fall into darkness and believe the lies that we tell ourselves, every day that come from the world. He wants to capture us and hold us for eternity. It sounds pretty crazy, like when I'm talking about it. It sounds like this crazy fairy tale thing. But life is pretty crazy. And not for 1 second do I ever think that we happened by mistake.
Okay. Typically in an interview like this, I would go down the road of asking you how you know this belief to be true. But you said some things that I think I would rather focus on. You said things like, when you mentioned heaven and hell, you said things like, unfortunately, it exists, and you said it's an awful place, and you said it sounds crazy. So I'm kind of interested in hearing more about that, and because it sounds like there might be some, I don't know what to call it, reservation or cognitive dissonance or what, but
well, it's certainly difficult talking about it on a campus which is primarily, I think, liberal in thought, and religion is not something that's Christianity is not something that's welcomed here. So it is kind of difficult to talk about to a random person, I guess. I just need to get more used to that. But well, I want everything to be flowers and roses and happy things. I don't want people to suffer for eternity. That's not something that I want at all. I wish there was no suffering at all, but this is something that we as humans chose for ourselves. We chose to seek after vain things rather than seek after the eternal and the meaningful. And so hell exists. Wow. Sorry, it's just so big.
Can I ask you a question that's on my mind just as you talk
Sure,
about this
yeah,
stuff?
go
Because this is
ahead.
all very interesting. One question I wonder that I would love to hear your opinion on is hell just?
Yeah, that's honestly that was what was going through my head too. Is hell just? Man, like as human beings, we have this nature that's fallen. That is, I don't want to say evil, but there's a certain inescapable thing about us that is just it's darkness that dwells in us. Um, but that is a question that I have never thought about. Whether or not it's just. I mean, my initial reaction would be no, it's not. Um, I don't think anybody deserves that at all. But it was something created by Satan. It was something. It was evil. It was darkness, and I see this whole darkness and light thing. So I feel like with all the light, there somehow needs to be the darkness. And that's just kind of how I'm seeing things. That's like natural events that happen here, and reading about things biblically. I don't know. That's just how things are, I suppose. Um, there's the good, and then there's the bad.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some people that fall into the bad. There are things that I'm very certain about, but there are other things like that I'm still creating my own view about.
Okay. On a scale of 0 to 100, how certain would you say you are that hell is just?
That was just. Oh my goodness.
With 100% being, I'm absolutely certain, no doubt in my mind.
Okay. You mean like 10 being?
Yeah, 1 to 10 or 0 to 100, whatever you want to pick. Yeah.
Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, how just is hell?
I just think he's really introverted. Like, I just don't think that he, like, goes out of his
Give me
way
a second.
Okay. Yeah, it's okay.
This is deep stuff. Like a 4. Like if I'm giving
Okay.
my straight up first thing I thought of like a 4.
Okay.
I think that I'm kind of tender by nature, and so I wish that terrible things didn't exist, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So next question, why 4? Why?
Why a 4?
Yeah. Why a 4 out of 10 certainty that it's just? Why not something higher? Why not something lower? What gets you to 4?
Because biblically we're taught that that God loves us unconditionally, and it's something that I experience in my day-to-day life. I know that I'm in communication with Him, that I get to have something like that, something so beautiful, but at the same time there's this dark stuff that exists, and so it's very difficult for my mind to grasp the whole picture. If we have someone so loving, someone who is love in its realest and truest essence, why? First of all, why does He allow these things to happen, and why do people go to hell? But people have a choice that they make. I wish that we had an easy thing, like door 1, door 2, which door are you going to go in? But it's so complicated. So I picked a 4. I picked a 4 because I don't want to believe that it's just, I guess. I don't want.
You don't want to believe that it's just?
I can't fathom how it is, I guess. Just I can't fathom how allowing someone to suffer for eternity is okay. But I mean, hell is not something that I like to partake in thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
In all honesty, the thought of existing for eternity frightens me a great deal.
Mm-hmm.
So I try not to think too much about what's beyond this little tiny minuscule life that I
Mm-hmm.
have. If it all goes dark, and nothing else happens, I don't know.
And I can pick up
I'll be pretty
pieces of
disappointed.
one.
I'll be pretty disappointed, but it won't kill me. It won't. Sorry, it won't. It won't devastate me, because living for eternity is something that I can't even comprehend. So, it's hard to say.
So what would make hell unjust?
What would it make it unjust?
What would make it unjust? Or maybe to put it another way, what would convince you that it was unjust?
What I need to look into is whether or not God hates hell or not. Does God hate hell? Is God like, yeah, let's go hell? Because if that's how God feels, then it's like, okay, this is not good. But, God feels pain. I'm getting to it. I'm sorry, I'm getting to
Oh,
it.
that's okay.
God feels pain and torment too, every single day. That's what we cause him. Pain and sadness and torment. But he created us because he wanted to be with people. So I don't want to say just because I don't even think that hell should exist. I don't think anybody wants that. I don't even think God wants that. And it's unjust because I think that like a lot of people are just really clueless. They just kind of walk around not really having anything. I mean, the opportunity always kind of, I think, arises for someone to make a choice about how they feel about it. But if we are going to spend eternity in some place, we need a definite thing. We need somebody to say, okay, yes or no. We just need something in front of our face, and maybe that does happen in people's lives, and that just it hasn't. I mean, it kind of has happened to me, but I've been in the right environment for it to happen to me. Some people don't have that. Some people don't have that question. So that's why I think it's unjust. That's what would make me think it's unjust.
Is what exactly?
Is man, this is really hard. I guess people not having the opportunity to answer the question, do you accept God and faithfully trust in Him? I believe it's much more intimate and complex, and I can't really put it into words. But do you accept that, I guess? Perhaps people do get that question, and I'm just not aware of that. But just the sheer torment, I think makes it unjust. The fact that time doesn't exist, and that it endures for eternity, that is unjust to me. Yes, but
So, what I'm wondering is, how do you worship a God who has this thing that it sounds like you believe to be unjust?
well, with I have not really connected God with hell in the sense that God allowed hell to come into being. Um, it's something that I'm afraid of for sure. It's something that I don't understand fully, but we have really small brains and we have really small comprehension, and sometimes you just have to have faith, and that's such a difficult thing to say, because people, they'll be like, well, you're kind of an idiot, um, but faith it takes strength. It takes strength to have that kind of faith, to believe that there's something more, and that you were created wonderfully, beautifully. And so that's why I worship. I don't worship because sin must be punished, and we are the righteous people, and because we're not at all. And that's not why I worship. I don't worship for the sake of evil being purged. I worship because I have hope that sorry. I worship because I have hope that there's something more. Sorry. Jeez.
It's okay. Yeah, it's all very interesting. I'm fascinated by, and I appreciate you being vulnerable with me, by the way.
Sure, that's fine. I try to practice that a lot. That's hard. Go ahead. Sorry.
I know some of these things are hard to think about, so I
Yeah.
definitely appreciate you.
Yeah, it's just like a lot, and so I'm having trouble articulating it.
Mhm. I'm wondering if we translated this idea of the justice of hell into the human sphere, if it's something that can help us get a grip on whether or not we're comfortable with it. So, for instance, if we had a king, an earthly king of some kind, an earthly ruler of some kind,
Sure.
who inflicted this kind of punishment on people, would you consider that king worthy of being worshipped?
Well, first of all, if that king is human, then definitely not.
Okay.
No. If he shows any signs of well, I guess that's not true either, because we're kind of created in the image of God, so God does have these sort of characteristics that we imitate. But yeah, definitely not if he's a human, so that wouldn't apply. But if he did something like that, well, I mean, yeah, it would be unjust. Because if he has the same understanding that we do, and the same mental capacity that we do, and yet he's doing these things, then yeah, definitely that would not be okay.
Would you vote for such a leader?
No, I couldn't do that.
So you would not vote for a leader who inflicted this kind of punishment on his subjects?
Eternal punishment.
Well, maybe not eternal if we're talking about like a human example, but
okay.
Something similar to whatever extent humans can inflict torments.
Torment, stuff like that. Well, I am bound by my time. I am bound by how I've grown up, and I am bound by the time that I grew up in, and I have to accept that that my knowledge is not something that has existed over long periods of time. It's very compact into these few years that I've been alive. So No, I would not vote for somebody like that, because if we think about leaders right now, that's just totally not okay. So I would not. I would not. I have to really think about like the laws of nature here, the the cause and effect of stuff in this world for me to really kind of say what I believe. But sometimes my mind just goes blank. I can't really think.
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
What if, because you said that you worship God in spite of hell because, and you mentioned, I think it was things like him being so loving and kind and merciful, stuff like that. He had these lovelier attributes. So I'm wondering if this this earthly ruler, this kingly figure, was a really, like really kind and merciful, um, and loving towards his subjects. But he just had this thing over here where there were certain people that he treated in this kind of manner, inflicting torments.
The thing is that I can't compare this king to God, because yes, God has the lovely attributes or whatever, but it's beyond our comprehension. And I know that sounds like a very blanketed term for I don't really get it, so but hopefully it's all good because we can't comprehend it, so hopefully it's fine. But to have something timeless and beyond our comprehension, a king is something that we can comprehend. A ruler is something we can comprehend.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I mean that would be very human-like of the king. That's how I envision a lot of people. People are really kind, but they can also inflict torment and not even, bat an eyelash. But God is so many things all at once. He experiences grief and pain because the people that he loves just continuously fall into darkness. God wants nothing more than to be with us. God wants nothing more than for us to be in heaven. And it's nothing more than that. So it's hard for me to, because I know that human beings are selfish. So it's difficult for me to compare.
Mm-hmm.
Compare
Okay.
the two.
I understand.
Yeah.
Would anything make God unworthy of worship? If hell doesn't do it, if you're able to worship God in spite of the reality of hell, is there anything that would make him unworthy of worship?
Sure. I mean, like that exists right now.
Oh, I was just thinking, just hypothetically, like, is there anything that you would encounter, any truth about God that you would find out that would cause you to say God is unworthy of worship?
Truth. Yeah, I don't think we even know what that is. If I were to figure out somehow some truth about God.
Is there anything he could do? I'm thinking more of like behavior or acts,
The world is really shitty right now, so I can't say. Because all of the bad things that are happening right now is because of us. So, I'm trying to think. Yeah, the thing that gets me is I'm sorry, I'm trying to think.
Yeah, no problem.
The thing that gets me is the Old Testament, because that's a different sort of God approached humans differently in that time. I mean, God is an unchanging, consistent, timeless being, but he approached it a little bit differently, and that is something that I have difficulty understanding. So, like, for instance, the flood. He literally killed everyone. So that's a big thing. And I remember I talked about my mother with that a lot, and she has the same reaction. You know, we don't know. We don't know. I'm having trouble truly identifying as a Christian person rather than just someone who believes in Jesus Christ, you know, because stuff like the Old Testament is stuff that gets me. So I feel like I can't say I fully believe in the Old Testament.
What is it about those unseemly aspects of the Old Testament that might cause you to say, I can't believe that?
Some kind of, like, some of the merciless things that happen, like somebody makes God mad, so he kills him.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
But what is it about that would cause you to go, yeah, I can't believe that. I can't believe that. I can't place my faith in that book.
Because, you know, at the same time, the Bible also says stuff like God is a merciful God. God is a merciful God. God's a loving God. And so there's all this contradiction, and it's hard for my brain to kind of wrap around and comprehend, you know, a God who is just but also loving at the same time. Because we are such, you know, fallen people, it's difficult for me to wrap my head around how God can be just and also merciful and also loving, you know, all at the same time. I mean, death is a really big part and of this existence, and I don't know, just that mass wiping out of people. Perhaps they were really terrible, you know, because, you know, they say that they totally turned from any sort of pure reality, which is God, and they pursued sin and darkness and vanity because that's what felt good to them. But that sort of purging, and that's quite a frightening thing. God gives us chances. So, I mean, it's just this constant back and forth battle with me. I know that God exists, but the nature of God is still something that I'm trying to figure out. Yeah. But the whole yeah, that whole thing still gets me. It still gets me.
Well, Emily, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking me those questions, because it helps me to reevaluate this kind of stuff, because I think I'm a pretty philosophical person, but you know, not everyone can sit around and think, you know, what's eternity? What's all this stuff?
Yeah.